بزرگداشت از حافظ بزرگداشت از فرهنگ قرآنی و اسلامی و ایرانی است و بزرگداشت از اون اندیشه های نابی است که در این دیوان کوچک گرد آوری شده و به بهترین و شیواترین زبان ادا شده.
You know, some voices, they just seem to fade with time. But every once in a while, a voice emerges that doesn't just endure, it becomes the very sound of time itself. For more than 700 years, a single voice has echoed from the heart of Persia. A poet whose words feel as alive today as they must have in the bustling streets of 14th century Shiraz. And to begin our journey into his world, we're going to start somewhere you might not expect, with an American philosopher. Ralph Waldo Emerson, he saw something in this Persian master that transcended borders. He captured it perfectly, calling him not just a poet for a nation, but a poet for all mankind.
So who is this figure who can so effortlessly cross the vast oceans of culture and of time? Well, his name is Hafez of Shiraz, and he is the immortal voice of Iran. To really get Hafez, you have to understand that he isn't just some historical figure locked away in a book. He's a living, breathing presence. His collection of poems, known as the Divan, it's a cornerstone of Iranian life, a kind of mirror that reflects a soul that's always searching for truth, for love, for something more.
But, you know, to really appreciate the poetry, I think we first have to meet the poet. So let's peel back the legend. Who was the man they called Hafez?
Well, his story begins way back in 14th century Shiraz. He was born Khwaja Shams al-Din Muhammad, and his early life, it was tough. After his father passed away, he had to work in a bakery to help his family. But his hunger for knowledge, it was just insatiable. He devoured literature, philosophy, you name it. And his memory was so remarkable that as a young man, he memorized the entire Quran. And that act of devotion earned him the name he'd be known by forever, Hafez, which literally means the memorizer.
So now that we've met the man, let's turn to his art. What is it about his words that gives them such incredible, lasting power? I think the answer is in a style you could really only describe as the language of the heart.
His true genius was in his mastery of a poetic form called the ghazal, and he used it to weave together the earthly and the divine in this beautiful tapestry. His poems are this stunning mix of love, deep mysticism, philosophy, and a really sharp, subtle humor. For Hafez, you see, love wasn't just romance. It was this cosmic force, a way to free the soul. And he expressed all of this with such refined irony, painting these profound, vivid pictures with just a handful of perfectly chosen words.
And that brings us to this really key idea in his work, something called the style of dispersion. Now, think of it like a string of pearls. Each couplet in his poem is like a single perfect pearl, a complete thought on its own. But when he strings them all together, they create this single, breathtaking whole that speaks to a much larger spiritual truth. It's an absolutely incredible artistic achievement.
So all of this, his life, his art, it all builds to the very core of his legacy. What's the secret ingredient? What is it that has made his poetry truly timeless? Well, the answer, it's actually not what you might think.
The secret isn't found in clarity. No, it's in a profound, deep, and masterfully crafted ambiguity. See, his poems aren't meant to be puzzles that you solve. They're more like landscapes that you experience, revealing new vistas, new meanings, every single time you read them, for every new generation.
And this ambiguity, it was completely intentional. It served three really important purposes. First, as an artist, he just believed that for poetry to last, it had to have many layers. Second, in a politically turbulent time, it was also a shield. It allowed him to express critical ideas safely. And finally, it was about spiritual dignity. In the mystical tradition, the deepest truths aren't just shouted from the rooftops, they're veiled in symbols, waiting for the worthy heart to discover them.
And that brings us to today, where his poetry isn't just something you study in a classroom, it's something that is lived. His legacy isn't sitting behind glass in a museum, it's alive right now in the homes and the hearts of millions.
You can see this so beautifully in the tradition of Faleh Hafez. On special occasions, or maybe in a moment of doubt, people will hold his book of poems, the Divan. They'll make a silent wish or ask a question, and then just open it to a random page. The verse that they land on is believed to offer them guidance.
So you might be wondering, is this just a kind of fortune-telling? A game of poetic chance?
The answer is not at all.
It's something so much more profound. It's like having a poetic conversation with your own soul. That very ambiguity we were just talking about, that's what allows the verse to act as a mirror, reflecting a person's own thoughts and feelings right back at them. It's a kind of cultural reflection, a dialogue with wisdom itself.
And this deep connection, it goes far beyond Iran's borders. The great German poet Goethe was so moved by Hafez, he called their encounter his own rebirth. Think about that. Nietzsche drew inspiration from him. Victor Hugo called him the poet of hearts. And of course, as we saw at the beginning, Emerson recognized him as a voice for all of us.
In the end, I think the secret to Hafez's immortality might just be this one simple truth. His poetry doesn't give us easy answers. It doesn't tell us what to think. No, his true gift was teaching us how to ask better questions. Questions of ourselves, of the world around us, and of the divine. And that, well, that is a language that will simply never grow old.